Welcome to lesson number 4 on our text of children as spenders. So in this lesson we're going to be focusing on listing. Okay, again looking at items in a list, כן, פריטים ברשימה. We're going to be focusing on the writer's opinion. מאוד חשוב לזהות את דעתו של הכותב ולעקוב אחרי הדעה בתוך הטקסט. We're going to be looking at the connection between a main idea and an example, הקשר בין רעיון כללי ודוגמאות שבאות לתמוך ברעיון. And also we're going to continue scanning. Scanning, as you remember, סריקה, לסרוק את הטקסט, לא לקרוא את כל הטקסט, אלא לסרוק בשביל אינפורמציה ספציפית, תאריכים, שמות, או כל דבר שבולט בתוך הטקסט. So read paragraph 10 and let's focus on the following question. List the 4 requirements needed for a group to be considered a market. Okay? מהם 4 הדרישות שצריכים, שיתקיימו, כדי שקבוצה תיחשב כשוק של צרכנים. So again, you're looking for a list, אתם מחפשים רשימה, and look for keywords like requirement, דרישה. Now, in paragraph 10, we also have the question, but should children really be referred to as a market? האם באמת צריך להתייחס לילדים כשוק? And then we have the answer, okay? According to the best-selling principles of marketing textbooks, the following 4 requirements must be met. Okay, so here, of course, after the key words, the following 4 requirements must be met, we have here a colon, נקודותיים, and now, of course, we're probably going to get the answer for what are the 4 requirements. So look for them. Okay, so as you noticed in paragraph 10, the bullets, we had here 4 bullets, and the beginning of them tells you what were the 4 requirements for a group to be considered as a market. The first one was the people must need the product. צריך להיות איזשהו צורך במוצר. זאת דרישה אחת. Okay. Number 2, individuals in the group must have the authority to buy the specific product. צריכה להיות להם את הסמכות, את הכוח, את היכולת לקנות את המוצר. The people in the group must have the ability to purchase the product. כן? האנשים בקבוצה צריכים להיות בעלי יכולת לרכוש את המוצר. And the last requirement, the people in the aggregate must be willing to use their buying power. Okay? So the people in the group must be willing to use their buying power. האנשים בקבוצה צריכים להיות מוכנים להשתמש בכוח הקנייה שלהם. So these are the 4 general requirements for a group to be considered a market. Now notice also the words must, כן, צריכים או חובה. Okay, זה פשוט מתקשר לי למילה requirements, דרישות. כלומר, מבחינת הכותב, אלה 4 הדרישות שצריכות להתמלא כדי שקבוצה תיחשב כשוק. So let's go to paragraph 11 and let's see if children also fit the requirements. So this brings us to this question. Does the writer think that children might be considered a market? האם גם ילדים יכולים להיחשב כקבוצת קנייה? Yes or no? And find one sentence in the text to support your answer. Okay, so again, I'm sure that you noticed the beginning of paragraph 11, תחילת פסקה 11, and the writer here tells us if children can also be considered a viable market, and it says here children appear to be a bona fide market. Now, you should have looked up the words bona fide. Bona fide means אמיתי או מובהק. So according to this, yes, of course, according to the writer, children are a true market. So now let's go to paragraph 12. The writer adds a 5th requirement for children. So if we had the 4 requirements before, they were general requirements, כן? היו דרישות כלליות לגבי מתי קבוצה נחשבת כשוק רלוונטי. So the writer adds a 5th one for children, and in paragraph 12, find what is the requirement for children. So I'm sure that you noticed the key words from the question in the text. That's always the first stage of finding the answer. And it says here in the text, the fifth requirement. Now, after the fifth requirement, we have a comma, פסיק, וברור לי שאחרי זה נקבל את ההסבר מה זה הדרישה החמישית לילדים. That individuals in the group must have knowledge and understanding of the marketplace, כן? שאותם פרטים בתוך הקבוצה חייבת להיות להם ידע והבנה אודות השוק. Okay, so this is of course relevant for kids because they have to make sure that children have the knowledge and understanding of the place where they spend their money. Okay. So let's go to paragraph 14 now. In paragraph 14, the writer asks many, many questions. Okay. The question here is, what is the writer's purpose for asking questions in the paragraph itself? Now, if you notice, paragraph 14 is very, very long. Part of the paragraph is the beginning, and then when you continue with the paragraph, you have bullets. So now we're going to focus only on the beginning of paragraph 14. And in order to answer this question, focus on the questions in paragraph 14 and see, okay, so what main idea is the writer trying to show us with these questions? Now, to answer, of course, what you should do is look for the questions, and that's easy to look for in the beginning of paragraph 14 because you have many, many question marks. עכשיו, מה שצריך לעשות זה לקרוא בעצם את כל השאלות, לנסות להבין מה המטרה בשאלות האלה, והסוד הנוסף זה להסתכל במשפט לפני שהכותב מתחיל לפרט את השאלות. למה זה? כי כותבים לא ייתנו לנו לנחש, אלא הם יציינו קודם כל את הרעיון המרכזי או הכללי, ולאחר מכן הם יעלו שאלות, ייתנו דוגמאות, יחזקו את הרעיון המרכזי. So let's look at the sentence before all of the questions. Okay, so it says here, casting children or putting children as consumers is not done without recognizing that there are many ethical, economic, and social questions concerning this position. So the writer is raising all of these questions to show us that we should understand that there are many ethical, economic, and social questions when children are seen as consumers. So the answer could be to show that casting children as consumers has many ethical, economic, and social questions. Okay, now let's continue with the second part of paragraph 14. And we have many bulleted questions. Okay, יש לנו שם הרבה שאלות, איפה שיש את הבולטים. What are, or who are the bulleted questions addressed to? כן? למי אותם שאלות, למי זה פונה? Okay. So scan the rest of paragraph 14 to try and figure out who are the questions addressed to. Now, without even reading all of the second part of paragraph 14, you have words here that are repeated. כן, יש מילים שחוזרות על עצמם, and the words here, of course, are parents, 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 and parents. Okay? So, from this we can understand that the bullets are addressed to the parents. So, in the beginning of paragraph 14, the writer is raising the social, economic, and ethical questions. And in the second part of paragraph 14, the writer is turning to the parents and what are the parents' responsibility with children as consumers. So let's sum up what we did until this point. We found the 4 requirements needed for a group to be considered a market. We also found a 5th requirement the writer added for children. And we also looked at how writers use questions to raise important issues in the text.